All right, Jen, you're all set. You're live over channel 18.
Okay, thanks so much. Good afternoon. This is a meeting of the 4th of July Celebration Committee. We're going to call this meeting to order at 4:06. Can someone just take notes for me as our clerk is not here?
Sure, I can do it.
Perfect, thank you. So on this meeting, we have Hillary Johnson, Heather Hill, and Ken Heritage. Absent from the meeting is Cynthia Wigren, Ryan Smith, who is unable to make it, and Claudia Anderson, as well as Ken Johnson. We don't actually have any meeting minutes to approve, so we will do that on our next committee meeting. And then everyone, I think, has received a copy of the agenda, which is very simple, is about whether or not we're able to hold the 4th of July celebration this year. Do we want to go around and give comments or feedback? I'm sorry, I apologize. The first item on the agenda are any committee updates. And I'd like, because we're going to be talking a bit of a larger picture, I would just like to keep this related to updates that need to happen regardless of whether there's a parade or not. Does anyone have anything to add?
Not that isn't going to be discussed anyway.
Okay. So moving on to the real reason why we're here is to give the selectmen will be voting on the 4th of July celebration at the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, and they would like us to submit a recommendation from the committee. Peter O'Meara from Friends of the 4th, the nonprofit group, was unable to join this call. But he did say that from his point of view, most towns are canceling their fireworks celebrations. Our fireworks company does allow for situations like this, for cancellations, is what he has let me know. And a lot of them are suggesting that other celebrations take place later in the year. He doesn't have a recommendation either way, but given the governor's most recent updates, I don't believe he sees a way for us to hold the fireworks. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I mean, even though it's early in the meeting, I would make a motion that we recommend to the selectmen that it be cancelled.
Yeah.
And then we can discuss our rationale for why, or my rationale anyway.
Yeah, I don't personally see a way that, given the current circumstances and the phases of reopening in Massachusetts, how we could hold the fireworks or the parade, in my opinion. And I do just want to present a few ideas that have been presented to me. Before I do that, should we take a vote to see that our official recommendation to the Board of Selectmen is to cancel this year's 4th of July celebration?
I need a second.
I second.
Just if I might,
Yep.
guys, just for anybody listening, and perhaps some notes for the letter to the board.
Yeah.
If we tried to go ahead, we would get very poor attendance from participants. The ones I've spoken to around town are very leery about doing anything. Some who are our regular drivers have told me, no way. The senior citizens in town are certainly not going to get in any crowds.
Right.
And we might then have a problem with them, coming to be volunteers, where there's people. I mean, being the seniors get hit more than the other people. Also, I don't think there would be the attendance.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would not bring my grandchildren. And I think that would be the case for a lot of people. So I don't see any possible way to have a successful parade of the normal type.
I agree with you, and I apologize if I did rush into this. I think that given the where everything has been, we're all sort of under the assumption, and I shouldn't have assumed, but I agree with you that participation would be down in every area, whether it's volunteers helping to make these happen, these events happen, whether it's people participating in the parade itself, and whether it's viewers of the parade and the fireworks. I also think in order for us to successfully hold these events and uphold the current guidance being put out there for social distancing, we would need a lot more resources in terms of help policing that. So police and I don't know that our police department really has the resources. That's extra time and money that I don't know that on a busy holiday they're able to give. I don't see it happening any other way. And that's
Jen, oh, go ahead, sorry.
go ahead. That's just my feeling.
I was just going to say, I remember in our meeting last year, feedback from the officers that even on a good year, it's a huge stress on police, particularly and fire, to to have the parade because there's so much going on 4th of July, that I feel like with COVID-19, it's daunting.
I agree.
The state plan really effectively puts a nail in the coffin too. I mean, we're not even going to be completely open and having, I don't even know I can't remember what the crowd numbers are calling, but anyway, it just, like you said, it's just impractical to think we can comply.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're all in agreement, but does someone want to, does someone want to make a motion then?
We already did.
Right, and then it was seconded.
Yeah.
So are we ready to vote that we make a recommendation to cancel? All in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Abstained? Okay, so it's 4-0 in favor that we will make the recommendation to the selectmen that this year's 4th of July parade and fireworks are canceled. With that in mind, as someone who looks forward to the 4th of July every year, that is upsetting, but it's where we are today. And I think it would behoove this committee to maybe come up with some sort of alternative, or if it's not alternative, an encouragement to the community. And I would like to present a couple of ideas for discussion. I'm going to put all of the ideas out there that have been submitted, and then we can discuss each one. So the first idea came from Cynthia Wigren, who was unable to make our meeting today. She has 2 ideas. The first of her 2 ideas is to reach out to Base Cape Cod and inquire about a flyover. The second idea is also from Cynthia, is to do kind of like a reverse parade where the businesses that would normally be in the parade would really just decorate their business or their homes if it's individual families or nonprofit organizations. And then we encourage people who would normally be watching the parade to drive by these businesses that are participating. The next idea is one that I had, really encouraging the spirit of the 4th of July and then trying to make something go viral online, parade in place. Show your spirit and pride wherever you are, take a picture, post it online, use a hashtag that we create, like hashtag Orleans Parade in Place. And let's just show the, the country, the town, what our great town is about. Something along the lines of not being able to be together, but our spirit is still, our patriotism and our love of our town is still alive, and we're looking forward to an even better celebration next year.
I actually love that idea. I really do think it's a great idea.
Another idea that came through to us was about extending the parade route. And I apologize, we probably should have discussed prior to voting, but I am going to just present this. Allow folks to have fun and social distance by extending the parade route, gathering at one end of the town, and going throughout the town with fire trucks, police vehicles, maybe music. And then possibly assembling representative vehicles of the town in a location where they can be socially distanced, and we could possibly record that and put it out on social media. Basically, this was sent in by Selectman Galligan, and he thought, is there a way that we can bring the celebration on a smaller scale to Orleans? So right now, those are the ideas that are on the table. I, for one, would really like to see us, as part of our recommendation, make a recommendation for something. Yes, we're saying that we think the parade and the fireworks need to be canceled, but we would like to see this. So I'd like to discuss.
If I can jump in here.
Yep.
I seem to think that every year, no matter whether we would have a parade or not, there are some businesses in town, as with a lot of homes, that put out the flag, they put up the red, white, and blue bunting, and it looks really good. If we could encourage almost all the businesses and nonprofits or social organizations, whatever, that are on a route in town to do it, and then perhaps film that as the old police chief's car and a fire truck or two, and a lot of individuals go by honking their horns, which has become quite a popular way of celebrating things, and have that go by. We could then use that as a video. So I think the idea of getting the community out there to, dress up their places and then have not just drive by individually, but have a set time for people to drive by. I think we'd have to check with the chief tomorrow, because I don't know what kind of police resources that would take and what kind of route they would sanction. But I would think that could be decided on fairly quickly. That's my thought.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. There are a lot of places, for example, at Christmas time, that'll do light displays and set a date and say, everybody do a drive-by. It could be a lot like that. The question is, like you said, logistics. What's the route, and how do the police handle it, and how do we manage the traffic flow and make sure we don't end up with a big traffic jam instead of something that's fun. But yeah, I like the idea.
My biggest concern with that is, I love the idea, is encouraging people to gather. And so I'm wondering if, rather than saying, giving a time, if people could do it at their leisure on July 4th, just because I just think, I don't know that in 8 weeks time, which is essentially what we're looking at, less than 8 weeks, that we're going to be able to encourage people to gather in any sort of crowd.
Hadn't thought of that one.
I like the parade in place idea. I mean, for something to do and kids could get involved in that.
But I do too, but I also like the idea of the video, like you're saying, Ken, and getting police and fire involved. I think it would be worth us making a recommendation to the select board that we are working on a parade in place, and maybe we need to have these conversations right now with the chief and see if this is a
Yeah.
viable.
It's really parade in place of.
Yeah,
Right.
parade in place of, yeah.
Well, I think the chief or his, people could give us a lot of decent input on that.
Yeah, I agree.
We couldn't do it without them. And given them what the town's finances are going to be going forward, I don't think they'll be looking to want to be paying out a whole lot of overtime. But it might encourage, the problem is it might encourage people to come to town and gather in groups.
Yeah, I don't think we can encourage gathering in groups.
But if it's just for driving by, and
Yeah, I
it will
mean,
be
if we
for a short
specified-
period of time.
Yeah, a specific, a time and said only to be in your call, and it kind of really laid it out as to what was permissible and what wasn't. And I know it doesn't mean people won't try to break the rules. And like you said, maybe that becomes something the cops just say, "Oh, this is going to be way more than we want to try to deal with." But I love the idea, and I think it could be combined with also a virtual activity that everybody could get involved with, like you said, Hillary, kids and posting things online, and it could be really impactful. It could be really fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Paul Cass in town?
Yeah.
Well, Paul does a lot of this video stuff, and he works with, who is it, Lower Cape TV
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
I see some of his videos almost every day, sort of thing, that he distributes and that. And I know he's taken lots of film of the parade before. So it might be that the people like Paul, if not Paul, who would get involved on a voluntary basis to help us do that video part of it.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, if we can encourage people to submit their own. I mean, I love the idea of getting more families and kids involved because it's something they could do at their house and just take like either a video with their phone. There's so much you can do with cell phones now. If they take a video or a photo with their phone and they submit it, and then, maybe Paul or someone like Paul could put it together so that we could create a little video to share. But I do really like a combination of the two. I kind of think it's going to need a little more thought on our end to sort of flesh out the details. And I also think that we should reach out to the chief and see what they feel and if it's doable from a public safety standpoint. I also love the idea of the flyover. I just don't know the capacity and if there's a cost involved with that. I just thought that was fun. And
I sent a text out the west coast of my son today.
Yep.
He said, usually that's one of the free things you can get because they take it out of training time costs. So, I mean, if we were going to ask to bring a group in, we would have to pay their transportation.
Right.
But with the flyover, apparently they treat that as training. So if they would be willing to do it, and they could do the whole Cape, they could just fly from one end to the other in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, which I like that idea too, because I mean, I don't know any town that is going to have a 4th of July parade right now. I know Chatham voted last night to cancel. So I do like that is spread throughout the Cape, not just Orleans.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, somebody, was that Cynthia's idea?
Yeah.
Maybe she can call Joint Base Cape Cod, and it's the Air National Guard.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
She said she would do that.
Okay.
So I can ask her to do that.
Would you like me to go and talk to the chief if I can get a hold of him tomorrow?
If you have time to do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
I do not, unfortunately. So what do we think for next steps then? I think that we should do our research and set another meeting, maybe next week. I think that my suggestion would be to write our recommendation that unfortunately we don't see how we could safely hold a 4th of July parade and the fireworks. And we're recommending that they are canceled this year, as we already voted on. But our committee is working on putting together a parade in place. What did you call it? In
Right
place.
in place of.
Yeah, in place of.
Yeah. And we're going to be unrolling that in the next week or so, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And hope to get the whole town involved.
We'd have to do a lot of cement pounding, going to every building sort of thing and saying, would you please be involved and do, get some bunting, though we can pass out some bunting, but not enough for the town.
Yeah, because we do need to make sure that we are still using all precautions in regards to COVID-19 though.
Mhm.
So as much as we can do via telephone and online. What else? What do you guys think? Oh, one more thing, sorry. My other suggestion would be if we're not going to have fireworks this year, I'd love to suggest that next year, when hopefully things are back to a form of normal, that we have, an even bigger and grander celebration of fireworks. If we're skipping a year, that would just be my suggestion.
Yeah, that would be
Great. Yeah.
So are we comfortable with writing the recommendation to the selectmen as we've already voted on, saying that we're going to be unrolling something to celebrate and show our spirit online in the next 2 weeks? And then after Cynthia follows up, I'll ask her to call the Joint Base Cape Cod regarding the flyover. And then Ken, you're going to talk to the chief. We can reconvene again next week.
Yeah, same time, same place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Do we have to get the okay though from the selectmen? Will they have to vote tomorrow evening to say, yes, go ahead with the parade in place of?
Yeah, I believe that they would need to approve that. And I would say that it would be our hope that they would approve us working on a parade in place program, which will unveil, for lack of a better word, to them, in a week and 2 weeks. I'd like to say 2 weeks to give us a little bit of time, but ideally I'd like to get it done. Like June 1st is right around the corner.
Mhm.
Well, I think if by then we should know, hopefully we should know with phone calls or whatever,
Yeah.
what kind of response we're going to get from the town to dress up. Because
Right.
if that isn't there, then it's a no-go anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so any other comments or feedback or things we need to work on before doing this?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we are adjourning at 4:30.